UFC on ESPN plus 21 Fight Night 163 Moscow Zabit versus Kattar just wrapped up. We're going to start at the early prelims, end with the main event, giving our reaction to every single fight on the card. All in one, it's an event recap starting with Grigory Popov versus Davy Grant. Davy Grant ekes out a decision win. Good job. Jessica Rose Clark versus Pani Kianzad. Jessica Rose Clark looks the look. So does Pani Kianzad, to be fair. Both of them are valuable assets to the women's divisions because they are very fuckable. But I went with Pani Kianzad getting a win here. I thought she'd get the job done. I know Jessica Rose Clark's coming off an injury and a long layoff. She still can be in the UFC, however. Pani Kianzad's just going to be able to keep her at range, and she did just that, getting a decision win. Alexander Yakovlev versus Roosevelt Roberts. I picked Roosevelt Roberts to win. I was very disappointed with Yakovlev. I don't know what was going on with him. I think he might have been injured at some point, but there's a level of retardation that some fighters possess. And Yakovlev is one of those guys. Because Roosevelt Roberts, I don't know if it was maybe Roosevelt becoming way better since his last fight, but he was piecing up Yakovlev on the feet in that first round, dominating him. Yakovlev managed to get him down in the second, and then Roosevelt just about eked it out in the third and got the unanimous decision win. Good job, Roosevelt. Very good job. You got the job done. Well done. Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Nurmago Tap Tap versus David Sawada. I thought Nurmagomedov was going to win. I didn't know who he was. I didn't even know what his first name was. I don't know how to pronounce it. I knew his surname was Nurmagomedov, so I fell for the hype of the Dagestanis, which we're going to get into on this card, because turns out, not all Dagestanis are savages, just Khabibis, and maybe Ankalaev, which we'll get into in a second. That maybe is a bit, but we'll get onto that as well. Okay, stay tuned. Abubakar Nurmagomedov, David Sawada, faked the armbar, switched it into a triangle, put him out. That's it. Gets the 50k bonus as well. Good job, David Sawada. I didn't expect that to happen. And Abubakar Nurmagomedov, you can see it on his face. I mean, he looked very... He knows that there's a beating waiting for him back in the fucking dressing room. He knows that Khabib's dad is waiting there with his slipper off, waiting for him. Hopefully, we see more of the Nurmagomedov relative, because obviously that name carries some star power and some attraction to the fight. Hopefully he bounces back better than ever, but it turns out that not all Dagestanis are savages. They're just like everyone else. Khabib's a good one, alright? Roman Kopylov versus Karl Roberson. I picked Karl Roberson to get the win. He managed to get it done by submission in the third round. Listen, Roberson looked very good, okay? And Kopylov is no slouch. 8-0, he's beaten some championship level guys over in Russia. Fast-tracked himself into the UFC by doing so. Karl Roberson's a savage. That's all this was. He came out looking technical. The leg kick was there for him all day. He noticed it straight away and realised, this is my way of winning. I'm going to chew up this leg, and kept on doing it. I think the days of leg kick finishes in the UFC are far over, because guys seem to be a little bit more conditioned into taking them. And you're seeing that over and over again. These guys seem to be able to take a beating to their legs. You saw it with Poirier versus Gaethje. Gaethje was chewing up the leg. Guys know how to take them. They know the right amount of weight to put on. They know that they're used to taking them. Their legs are conditioned to take them. And I feel like that's the same with Kopylov. Showed incredible toughness, but Roberson was just all over him. Kopylov had his moments. Roberson destroyed him. And let me tell you this. Why was this fight allowed to go on, but not the BMF title? I know you want me to talk about this. Karl Roberson's eyelid was split in half. There was a cut, not on the eye, anywhere around here. There was a cut on the eyelid. Okay, there was blood leaking from that cut into Roberson's eye. And you know what the doctor did? He came in with, maybe this is doctored in Russia. You know what I mean? Maybe that's just what this is. Like, just Russian doctors don't give a fuck. Oh, you're alive and breathing. You're good to go. Maybe that's what we're dealing with here. Indian and Russia, you know? Little bit different in terms of warrior culture. Anyway, racism aside, I guess. I don't know why I just said that, but I'm going to keep it in there anyway. Yeah, they let it go on. They said, hey, we're going to give you a second. We're going to wait for the blood to stop pouring out of your eyelid, and then we're going to get you back in there. But the BMF title, nah, nothing on the line here. This is a prelim fight, and Karl Roberson went out there in the third round and not only fought through the bad cut that he had in his eyelid from the eye poke, but went out there and got the finish. Good job, Roberson. Rustam Kabilov versus Sergey Kanzoko. Holy shit. That was fucking boring. That was honest. I know that the wrestling is a part of the game, but I love watching Khabib wrestle, guys. He takes position, he punches him, he lands good ground and pound, he goes for submissions, he changes position again, he puts him in a more dominant place, he traps the legs. This was literally, I'm going to hug your waist, and until the referee does something about it, I'm going to stay right here. And that was it. So yeah, rough for Kanzoko. Rough for Kabilov as well, because I'm sure he's not in Dana's good books. And this is the first time in a fight that Rustam has won the fight. He landed 56 total strikes. And Sergey Kanzoko landed 188. Crazy, I know. Madness. But either way, I guess they do credit somewhat 4 minutes of holding onto someone's waist like a child. Magomed Ankalaev versus Dauch Lungiambala. I picked Ankalaev to win. It was the kind of obvious pick. A lot of people were saying that Lungiambala was going to flatten him and all this. And at one moment, it seemed like that's how it was going to go, because he clipped Ankalaev in the first round on the side of the forehead. Right here on the temple. So, Ankalaev came back. Dominated him in the ground and pound in the second round. Completely drained all of Lungiambala's energy. And then went for that fucking Machida versus Belfort front kick right down the middle and flattened him out. Beautiful finish. Gets himself the 50k bonus. Very well done, Ankalaev. I love it. Dominant performance. Dominant performance. He's the next guy up. And who I want to see him fight next at light heavyweight? OSP is just won against Alexei Juk. He needs an opponent. Makes sense to me. Ankalaev versus OSP on the main card of a fight night. Sign me up. Sign me up. I think Ankalaev's going to destroy a bunch of people in that division. Shamil Gamzatov versus Klidzin Fariasiabriu. I thought Klidzin could have won. They gave it to Gamzatov. I picked him to win. He's now still undefeated at light heavyweight. Hey, maybe we can even do Shamil Gamzatov versus Ankalaev. Cancel each other out. You know, we don't want too many non-English speakers in the UFC. Alright, we like good interviews. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Or maybe we can do Gamzatov versus Ion Cutelaba. There you go. My brain works its wonders once more. Ramazanov versus Anthony Rocco Martin. I picked Rocco Martin to win. A lot of people seem to think that Ramazanov won this fight, and I'll tell you why that's wrong, okay? Because in the new scoring system, if someone is to stuff a takedown, and a fighter is to defend a takedown, the judges see that as a win for them in that exchange. Which is rightfully so. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're shooting a takedown on me, you're starting an exchange. You're then trying, once you make contact with me, to put me down on the ground. That's your win from this. Because forever, the guy who defended takedowns has got no credit for doing so whatsoever. So for me to stuff a takedown on you engaging on a double leg on me, that's big. That is really big. And they've started giving points to the guy who stuffs the takedown. And Rocco Martin did an amazing job. Ramazanov is an absolute savage. He's a welterweight who beat Sam Alvey at light heavyweight. Which goes to show either how good Emeev is, or Emiev, as people keep telling me to say, or how terrible Sam Alvey is. It's probably how terrible Sam Alvey is, I'll be honest with you. However, Rocco Martin just shuts him up, as I predicted. Tricks him over 3 rounds, narrowly edges out each round, I thought. I don't know how you guys had the scoring system, however. Another welterweight contender. Rocco Martin's a beast. Talking to him the entire time, screaming at him at the end of the round. Good win. And he did it for a good cause. Get well soon, Mummy Rocco, or whatever you want to call her. Get well soon. Good win from Rocco Martin. He gets the job done. He's now back in the conversation at welterweight. I want to see him versus anyone. I don't mind. A rematch with him and Jake Matthews. Him versus Nico Price. Him versus Burns. There's a bunch of fights to go around. Maybe Price versus Burns. And then we wait to give Rocco Martin someone else. I'm down for whatever. Rocco Martin versus Magny. Rocco Martin versus Law. There's questions to be asked here, and we'll see what happens with Rocco Martin next. Kadzis Ibragimov versus Ed Herman. I went with Ibragimov because I thought he was going to win, and I thought Ed Herman was way over the hill, and I didn't really credit a win over Patrick Cummins as maybe I should have. Ed Herman's a savage, and he's really tough, and that's a ginger mentality right there. Fuck this immigrant mentality that Joey Diaz keeps going on about. That's an immigrant mentality right there. A ginger mentality, sorry. Dominant. I mean, he just edged out a decision. Not dominant, but just like in terms of taking damage. Listen, Gingers, I reckon no soul actually helps. Having no soul might actually help there, because it's not like your opponent can take your soul from you. I thought that's what this guy Ibragimov wanted. He thought, oh my god, I've hit this guy so many times. How comes his soul hasn't left his body yet? And that's when Ed Herman said, huh, you Russians don't know about us Gingers. We have none. You know what I'm saying? The soul's been gone since birth. And that's when Ibragimov sort of, I'm never going to say his name correctly, Cadiz sort of thought to himself, right, well, there goes my game plan. My game plan was to come in here and take the soul of Ed Herman. Little did he know, because Russians don't have Gingers, that Ed Herman's soul has been gone since the day he was conceived. Ed Herman gets to win. Very good job. I don't know who I want to see him fight next. Maybe sacrifice him to Ion Cutelaba. Cutelaba would annihilate him. Or Ed Herman versus Shamil. Or just give him another bunch of contenders until he loses and they can progress up the rankings. Because let's face it, as much as I love Ed Herman, he's not going to challenge for the title, is he? You know what I'm saying? So maybe we do Ed Herman versus Alexei Juk. There you go. That's a decent one right there. Zelim Imadiev versus Danny Roberts. Zelim Imadiev, again, Dagestani. People overrate them. People think that they're all savages. Turns out, no, they're just like the rest of us. They're pretty tough, but they also have their losers. You know what I'm saying? They also have the runt of their pack. They also have the guys that aren't quite as good as the Khabibs and the Zabits and the Ankalaevs. And it turns out that Imadiev's just one of those guys. Danny Roberts is a guy who I bet against him purely based on his chin. Because his chin has been cracked so many times, and I've seen it cracked so many times in the UFC alone. Mikel Bahia KO'd him. The other guy rocked him, whoever he fought before that. I believe it was Zaleski, or I don't even know who it was. The Brazilian guy rocked him before that, and then had him doing the chicken dance. Then Mike Perry KO'd him in the UFC. I've seen it happen a lot to Danny Roberts, but just reminded everyone, hey, I'm here to stay, and he got a big KO in the third round. I thought he was going to get a performance bonus. Turns out they gave it to the guy who beat Nurmagomedov's cousin. So, I guess that's cool. Just because he has a surname Nurmagomedov, I guess that giving him bonuses. But I really think Danny Roberts deserved a bit of a bonus here because he was the underdog. Zelim Madiev's a savage. I don't think he was the underdog, but he was... A lot of people were picking Madiev to win this one. He's a beast. You know what I'm saying? Danny Roberts went in there, shut that hype right up, cracks him on the chin in round 3 and finished the job. Alexander Volkov versus Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy, man. First of all, thank you for saving the show. We have to appreciate you for this. Very good job saving the show. You came in here, you didn't get KO'd, you learned a lot, you broke your hand, and you still went 3 rounds with one of the best heavyweights in the world. A guy who, by the way, if you remember the Derek Lewis fight, annihilated Derek Lewis for 2 rounds for 4 minutes and 59 seconds. Annihilated Derek Lewis for the entire fight until the very last 5-second period. Destroyed him. And look what Greg Hardy just did. Went toe-to-toe, made it competitive, and was landing decent shots one-handed against Volkov. Who knows what would have happened if Greg Hardy had 2 hands here. Craziness. So I want from Greg Hardy here, don't hang your head too low. Hold it nice and high. You did a very good job on short notice for Volkov. He's a savage. You weren't even supposed to make it out the first round. Your only chance to win was to land a haymaker in the first round. You did a very good job. Heal up your hand. Get back to training. Have a nice bit of time off. You've just earned a bit of money. You earned a bit of money 3 weeks ago as well, so surely you're saving up a little bit. Okay? Take some time. Come back. Fight one of Arlovsky or Maurice Green. Preferably Arlovsky, because he is chinny as fuck right now. So go and take that chin, and then we'll move you forward, okay? And then we'll see what's next for you. But good job. Good job. Thank you, Greg Hardy, for saving the event. Volkov and Ngannou called him out. Makes sense. Volkov versus Ngannou. Ngannou's just sitting on the sidelines while they wait to make DC versus Miocic free. So yeah. Volkov versus Ngannou on the same card, on the main card. That makes sense to me. So maybe they do, I guess this sort of removes the idea that Rumble is going to be coming back to face Ngannou. So maybe they do Rumble versus Derek Lewis. Now that Greg Hardy fight is out of the equation for Lewis. That would make sense. Rumble versus Lewis. Sounds good to me, but I feel like that should be the card. They should have, in February, there's going to be a pay-per-view. We've had no fight announcements made for it yet. So I think they should do Stipe versus DC3 as the main event. Jones versus Reyes as the co-main event. Then do Volkov versus Ngannou, the third fight down, maybe. Then maybe a Till versus me, and then you fill in the rest. You fill in the gaps. Then maybe a Yoel Romero versus a Cannonier. Who knows? Who knows? Let's make these fights happen. Then maybe a Paul Felder versus, you know what I'm saying, Paul Felder versus Dan Hooker. Fights to be made. Let's get them booked in. We have cards that need to be filled. Zabit versus Calvin. If it was 5 rounds, Zabit would have lost. I've heard a lot of guys saying that Zabit had staph infection. Or no, wait. Some guys saying that he had a staph infection. Other guys saying that he had a blood infection. I don't believe that, if I'm honest with you. I think it's very convenient. Because if I were to believe that, then I would kind of want to say, right, so where did he have the staph infection? Was it on the head? Was it underneath his hair and that's why we couldn't see it? Not likely. It doesn't show up there. Okay, you normally see staph infection on the front or back of someone's torso. You know what I'm saying? Or chest area, or upper back. That's where you normally see staph infection. So where else could it have been? Maybe his staph infection was on the palms of his hands, covered by the gloves very conveniently. Maybe it was on his thighs or his groin, or maybe it was on his dick. Another conveniently covered up place. That's one thing that I don't believe. Another thing people seem to be saying is that he had staph infection for this fight. Yeah, I just mentioned that. But did he also have staph infection for the Bochniak fight? Because we saw the exact same problems there with the gas tank. Did he have the same staph infection for the Jeremy Stevens fight? Because we saw the exact same problem there. Stop making excuses. Zabit is not a god. He has cardio issues. And if this had a 4th round, Kattar would have fucking destroyed him. Because that's the way the fight was going. Kattar can go 5 rounds hard. Zabit cannot. Okay? He needs to fix that problem. I don't believe the staph infection because we've seen him with this problem over and over again in his career. Multiple times before. So what? Did he have staph infection back then as well? How convenient. It's like the same thing with Tyron Woodley. His soul left his body for the Usman fight. Oh, what do you know? His soul also left his body for the Rory McDonald fight and the Jake Shields fight. Wow, really weird. What a coincidence. I don't buy it. I don't think he had staph infection for the only 3 fights that have looked close. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a genuine issue. He can't go 3 rounds hard. Okay? He can't go the 3rd round hard. He needs to coast and survive. And I know this because at the end of the 1st round, he was looking at the clock, wondering what time it is, and he actually looked at the clock twice. On 2 different occasions, Zabit took a heavy breath at the end of the 1st round and looked at the clock. I picked Zabit to win. I said he was going to win the early 2 rounds, the first 2 rounds, and then lose the 3rd. Yeah, tough. He needs to fix that problem. Because I'll tell you this, if Kattar is piecing you up in the 3rd, Ortega's going to finish you. Holloway's going to destroy you in the 4th and 5th. Ortega's going to destroy you in the 4th and 5th. There's no more 3-rounders for Zabit out there unless he wants to take on Yair Rodriguez on the main card of something. But I think that Yair versus Zabit is the next fight that should happen. And I think it should 100% be in a 5-round main event. Both of their names have never been bigger. Both of them have come off big headliners with Yair and Stevens headline in Mexico. That got cancelled. Then they went to war in the co-main event of UFC Boston. That got a lot of hype behind Yair Rodriguez again. Zabit just headlined his own show. He's got a lot of hype. Let's have these guys fight now. It's the perfect moment. Let them headline their own card. Zabit versus Yair Rodriguez. 5 rounds. I think Yair destroys him in the 4th. Or the 3rd. I think the takedown defense from Kattar is equal to that of Yair Rodriguez's, if I'm honest with you. And I think a scrambler does well against Zabit. I think they really do. And I think Yair would be able to defend the takedown of Zabit and would be able to get back up. So that's not an option for Zabit anymore. To take that rest, and I think that's another reason why he got so tired in the 3rd round, is because usually in the 2nd round, you'll notice Zabit likes to take things to the ground and really get a bit of a breather and get on top of someone and have some control and get his recollection and then go back at them for the 3rd round. He wasn't able to do this with Kattar. And surprise, surprise, he looked more tired than ever because he couldn't take it to the ground and recollect himself. Weird. Weird. Zabit versus Kattar on the main event. No, not Zabit versus Kattar. Zabit versus I'm very tired right now. Sorry, guys. Zabit versus Rodriguez in the main event. Kattar versus Stevens in the co-main event. Boom. Done. See you later. Like and subscribe. Goodbye. See ya. Click that button there as well. See you later.